This is Curious Brain Thoughts.
Hello, Paul, my dear.
Hello, Louise. How are you?
How? I'm very well. The sun is shining.
The weather is sweet, yeah. Makes you want to move.
My dancing feet.
To the rescue.
Here I am.
Want you to know now.
I don't know the rest. You're just lucky I didn't sing it.
I am indeed.
Yeah?
In the words of Mark and Lard. Oh, Mark and Lard, do you remember them?
I do. Mark and
Can you
hapless boy Lard.
Can you help where? Can you back off the mic a bit, kid? Do you remember? They were like, can you back off the mic a bit?
Here, our kid. And it was always London Village, wasn't it? I'm going down
yes.
to London Village.
I still use that.
Samesies.
I'm going to the village and people are like, what village? Well, London Village, of course.
People, if you know, you know. If you were around in the 90s.
In the 90s.
In the 90s.
They were brilliant, Mark and Lard. Massive
They were
shout
hilarious. They were really good.
I bought one of their albums. What was it called? The Shire Horses.
Oh, yes. I'd forgotten about the Shire Horses.
And they did loads of parodies, didn't they?
They did. They were funny.
They were really clever.
Yeah.
I think one of them, Mark Radcliffe, is still on BBC Radio 2.
Or Radio 6 now, maybe.
BBC Radio 6. Just go up the further you are from leaving. BBC Radio 7.
He's still on BBC, is what we're saying.
Aye.
Aye.
Tell them about Lard.
No, I
They
don't
were
know.
so funny, though. They were really good. I mean, that was, for me anyway, that was the first format of radio where there was a lot of mucking about and stuff that was thought through. It wasn't just like slapstick. It was really quite clever.
Yeah, was clever. Very nice.
Oh, there we are. Gosh, good.
Good.
And it's a lovely Thursday, which means
Isn't
we're
it?
nearly at the weekend, everyone. You're welcome.
Yeah, very good. What are you up to this weekend?
Well, this weekend I might be going to see our dad. Well, I not might be. I will be going to see our dad because it's his birthday.
Aye. How old
Aye.
will he be?
He will be 81.
Fair play.
Fair play to him. It's good innings.
I also might come and see Dad. I'm not sure yet.
Fine. He's not asked for you at all, so...
I think he doesn't love me as much as he loves you, is the honest
Basically,
truth.
that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel bad for the other siblings as well, you know.
You're clearly the favourite.
I mean, yeah. For obvious reasons. I mean, it's totally understandable.
Agreed. It's 100%. I mean, I can only aspire, Paul, to get the parental love and affection you get. It's a goal. Hashtag life goals.
Yeah, well, I might actually run a course. I was thinking what I could do is, you know, because loads of people create courses these days.
Yes,
Like,
they do.
oh my God, I did a massive poo and it didn't hurt. I'm going to create a course on how to poo without it hurting. Or other times, it's I've got lots of followers on Instagram, or I've created a business that hasn't failed yet, or whatever. And everyone creates a course. So I might create one about parental, whatever you said. Mm-hmm.
How to get your parents to love you when they don't.
Yeah. How to get your parents to fake it convincingly so that you feel like you're loved.
How to be the number one sibling.
Wouldn't it be awkward if that was aimed at only children?
Well, I was just about to say, you've then niched it down because you're not going after the only child audience.
Okay.
Because theirs might be like how to share without being resentful.
We've basically got a whole new catalogue.
Great.
It's practically done, I think.
I agree.
Yeah. I'm just literally going to just record my life wandering around.
That will sell itself.
I think so. I think you're probably right. Well, now we've sort of cleared that up. Yeah, so you're doing all right.
Aye.
Aye. And
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm actually feeling quite excited by all the things that we're working on at the moment.
Yeah.
It just feels really positive and nourishing. You know, I do sort of kick myself that this is part of my job. I don't really kick myself because that's a silly thing to do.
Ow.
What I do is I just notice how grateful I am that this is a part of me doing my job.
Can I just do a slight segue
Go on.
to say, isn't it interesting and curious that the language we use to, tune into how grateful we are for the things in our life are, well, I need to pinch myself.
Yeah.
I also might need to kick myself. So we cause ourselves physical harm in order that we can check we're not dreaming.
Yes, that's the thing, yeah. To wake yourself up with a start. I remember, I used to sleep really heavily as when I was a kid, and Mum would come and wake me up in the mornings for school because I could hear the chirping on. I just didn't want to get up. And so I would try and stay in bed and pretend to be asleep. And she would come in most mornings and wake me up by pressing the pressure points behind my ears.
Is that what she used to do?
Mm-hmm.
She used to stroke my forehead, and then I would just wake up because I'm a Donny, and
Right.
I just wake up and get up.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
I think, as we talk, I'm just leaning into the possibility that maybe I'm the favourite child and Mum's faking it with you.
Right. Yeah, that is actually a possibility. And interestingly, it's very, very, very small. If I were you, I'd start playing the lottery because you'll probably win that first.
Yeah, it's fair. It's all fair comment.
Yeah, which is nice.
I apologise. Can you? I don't know if you can hear Nigel whining, and I do apologise for that. He hasn't been OUT for WA to the L to the QZ yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were shooting today, and I might need to contextualise that.
A
Sorry,
movie?
everyone.
They were shooting a movie, some pictures.
I live in the countryside, and there's a shoot that happens, pheasant shoot, that happens close to my house, and I don't take my dogs out when that's happening because one of my dogs is petrified.
Dizzy?
Of the sound. Yeah, Dizzy's absolutely petrified.
She pegged it home, didn't she,
She did.
first time it happened?
Yeah. We were walking through the field, and she heard a gunshot. It was just over the valley somewhere, but it resound, the sound bounced around, and she wouldn't come, and I had to use the ball chucker and the tennis ball to get her through the fear. She wouldn't go in the field, she wouldn't go for a walk, she wouldn't do anything.
Great. Brilliant.
But now if you chuck the ball for her, she can cope.
That's her coping mechanism. Love that.
Yeah.
Love
So anyway,
that.
long story short, sorry
Right,
for the boring life anecdote, but that's why the dogs are whinging, because they haven't been OUT.
It's fine because I've been using this time to get to the butler.
Develop your courses.
Yes. One, develop my courses and publish them. Two, to get the butler to crank the handle on the RTG.
Oh, good. Good.
So, if you're ready, would you like to press the button?
Yes. I will do it now.
Random theme generator. Random theme generator.
Paul, you're nearer the
Right.
the outlet than me. If you could just...
Yes, it is a bit awkward. It can be a bit of a squeeze sometimes trying to get around there.
I can't actually get round there.
Right, okay.
Too
Hold
many
on.
Quality Street at Christmas, I think.
Yeah. Right. Interesting. It would appear, Louise, the RTG has fired out culture.
Culture?
Mm.
Ooh.
Oh. Would you call me?
Any specifics around what kind of culture?
It's not said. It's just spat out culture. So here's where my head went. Firstly, let's read the definition, and see what it says. Oh, okay. So Here's the definition. The arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. Okay, that's one. A refined understanding or appreciation of culture. Right, so that's that one. Lovely.
So that's you being a culture vulture.
What do you call me? So the next one is the ideas, customs, and social behaviour of a particular people, group, or society. And it further explains the attitudes and behaviour characteristic of a particular social group. So that has like massive things. And then obviously there's two more, right? The cultivation of bacteria, tissue cells, etc., in an artificial medium containing nutrients. So to
I'm going to grow a culture of your eye infection.
You're welcome, everyone. That's lovely. And the fourth one, I mean, culture, bloody Nora. The cultivation of plants.
Yes.
This variety of lettuce is popular for its ease of culture. So,
See, I wouldn't personally use culture in that. I would just say for its ease of cultivation, but whatever.
yeah.
So which one? So begin.
Well,
Please
okay, fine.
begin.
Okay. So I didn't do classics or fine art or whatever. So I'm having a chat about that, Shizwad, and I'll do my best to join in. I also didn't do biology after GCSE off of the 90s. So, yeah, can talk about that. It sounds a bit gross, actually, growing manky stuff. The thing that I'm more interested in might be around the ideas, customs, behaviours, choices, mindset of groups of people.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. What about you?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, fine.
Tell us what you want to say.
Okay.
I can't. I'm also not good on the biology. I'm not going to lie to you. Last night I did some painting and read some poetry, so I am a bit more cultured than you.
Fine. Wow. All right, Rembrandt.
It's paint by numbers. It's not Rembrandt.
I'm really pleased you clarified that. Good. So you played with your colouring book and read some poetry.
Actually, it's a really very beautiful thing. You get a piece of canvas and it's got a Liberty print on it, and you get all the paints. And I find it very. I just zone in on it, and I like it. Anyway, I'm more cultured than you. Moving on.
Is what we're saying. Fine. Okay, great. Love that. Love that for me. So, yes, I remember seeing something just this week. I commented on somebody's post about culture on LinkedIn, and I can't remember what their post was about. What I remember is about my reply, which was around thinking of culture in terms of a dialogue. So this is not like a static thing. Like a dialogue isn't static. What we're doing here has flow and direction and pace and all sorts of different things. And culture being this dialogue within the organisation where there is this inhalation and exhalation as, values, for example, are adopted, and then behaviours come out, and then choices are used every day, and which might influence mindset or all sorts of different things that are going on, and how it's this running dialogue throughout the organisation that everyone is responsible for, not just whatever that organisation group is, that everyone's responsible for. And if you take it into a work setting, the leaders of that organisation are accountable for it. So everyone is responsible, whereas because they cast the longest shadow that can be seen the furthest, they have a greater degree of accountability. We've all got our own individual accountability for showing up and blah, blah, blah. The point I'm making is, as being custodians of this culture that they want to perpetuate in their organisation, they are accountable for that.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, good. So join us next week when we talk about online courses.
Here's the thing, right? Somebody of our acquaintance, who shall remain nameless for reasons that will become obvious in a moment, is working in a setting where this isn't an organisational wide culture. It's in this particular setting that this person works in.
Mm-hmm.
The culture is toxic.
Oh.
It is there's these weird unspoken layers of preference and bias.
Right. Yes.
That mean behaviour in some people is completely excused, and in other people it is there's a different standards, it seems.
Yes.
Even some of the behaviour from some people is given to other people to own.
Yes.
So it's very, very difficult to navigate because it's all unspoken. And if you look at the official party line in inverted commas, well, that'll say, oh, well, this and that and values and blah blahs.
Yeah.
But actually, the vibe is, for this individual, if it's not any good, that's up to you.
Yes.
As an individual. And you're not communicating well enough, resilient enough, taking things too personally, etc., etc., etc.
Accountable enough.
Exactly. If there's a problem, it's down to you. And if you do something great, it's probably down to me because I'm brilliant. So that's the general tone. But how to navigate that is extremely, extremely difficult.
Really, really challenging. And that particular person, that isn't the description of the company-wide culture, as far as we're aware.
No.
It's of a certain division, a
So how does
subset
that,
of.
who's accountable for that?
Yes. Well, I think that what I said about the leaders still applies. So those who are in positions of leadership, who have accountability for, some managerial accountability as well, that is on them. And therefore, if you do have, we've worked in another organisation that will remain nameless, some time ago with large groups of people. I'm just waiting for Lou to nod.
Yes,
that she knows.
I'm on
with
the page.
Very firm management structure, let's call it,
Yep.
and lots of rigidity. Very, very strict rules on this is how we do it. For example, just without the dancing, and there was a lot of what you were describing there in terms of the unspoken things. There was a lot of toxicity.
Yeah. I think
was...
it's really common, if I'm honest.
Go on, be honest. Tell
the thing is, here's the thing. If we accept that everybody are, in essence, good, kind people showing up to do their best. So in other words, if we assume positive intent rather than negative intent, the where you've got these little microcosms of toxicity, that's often led and enabled by the leaders of those areas. They don't necessarily realise that they're doing it. In other words, they haven't woken up to this morning, made a to-do list which says create toxic work culture. Maybe they... I think there has to be a level of awareness that it's not okay. Some of the behaviours.
Because it's not spoken, it's not written down, it's not acknowledged.
No, it's so hard to get a handle on it. And by making the person who has an issue with it accountable for it, of course, that's extremely difficult. I would say, if you're in a situation like that, we've all been in situations like that, even if it was just an individual who was very, very tricky.
Yeah.
But, it's rare that a whole organisation comes under the toxic culture banner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know really what I'm saying other than these situations exist. I think they exist more often than we care to admit. I think we've seen a lot of it, and it's extremely, extremely damaging.
And so, even just thinking about that, then in the two organisations that will remain nameless, that we've been thinking about, their global culture is one thing, and think of any actually global organisation we've worked with. The global culture is a thing, and then there will be like a European flavour of whatever that is.
Yes.
And then there will be like a UK flavour of whatever that is. And then there'll be a regional flavour. And then you marry that with, the Asian, Japanese, Tokyo regional version with a UK regional version, London, whatever. Those two worlds sort of collide. We've seen experience with global organisations where there are those big differences despite everybody being under one roof.
So it's an onion is what you're saying. It's layered.
Maybe more than one onion.
Yes.
Maybe it's a genetically modified onion that's actually two onion bulbs that are sort of grown next to each other, and they are being peeled at different speeds.
And so I think, it makes it really nebulous, really difficult to get your arms around. It is, of course, informed by the culture of the country, by, what we all have our own cultural biases, and it's so pervasive and difficult. I think I liked what you said earlier, Paul, about everybody being responsible for their part of it. In other words, if you look at culture in whatever context as the sum of the choices that people make, the choices in behaviour, in kindness, in words, in deeds,
mindset,
it's those choices of each and every person that in the end define what that culture
so
looks
what
like.
You're saying is it's not the PowerPoint or the what's the thing, the laminated thing that you stick up somewhere that goes, oh my god guys, integrity, respect, and all the rest of it. So
whack
you're saying
a nice sunset on it, and everyone's
Yeah.
suddenly acting out of great
And,
respect. with each other.
we're really amazing, so because we do free pizza and stuff, that's our culture. We're incredible, and so what you're saying is that's an aspiration, and no matter what you write down or what you say or try to push out, it is the sum of those choices, actions, behaviours, etc. And so when you then think about some of these things that are very counter to that, so let's say we've got like integrity, respect, accountability, customer centricity, or whatever, that's our culture, brilliant. And what's happening is lots of unwritten things. You need to own everyone else's problems. If there is an issue, it's likely your problem. I'll tolerate that behaviour over there. I won't tolerate you holding up the thing, saying this is what we're meant to be doing, and so on. Then those choices I guess what am I trying to say is that things like employee surveys and stuff like that simply are not going to expose the culture,
No.
depending on the quality of the questions that are asked, because you'd have to ask indirect questions
Yeah.
that people couldn't go, oh, I know what I need to answer here, in order to try to expose themselves. So really, it's living in that environment for a period to see what is really going on. You can
Yes.
ask some basic things like, how is failure handled? What's the attitude to failure? That's one thing. So you personally have made a mistake. How was that for you? And, or whatever. So there are
Even that, I agree. It's a powerful question. I'm just thinking back to just actually how honest people are able to be when they answer it.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the setting, context of when you ask it, how you ask it, what you do with the answer. Because those surveys, it's interesting. No one really trusts that they are anonymous.
No, it's true. They don't.
Because HR or whoever can go, oh, Louise, you haven't filled in your thing yet. Hurry up, chop, chop. So is that just because you've got a completed flag, yes or no? Or is that because you're able to find out what I've written? And then you can trace it to regional and blah-de-blah-de-blah. So there is a lot of mistrust, which is interesting as well. I was also thinking about a totally different tack just for a moment.
Mm.
There's somebody else that we know who works in much more of a... I'll say, well, it's more of like a manufacturing sort of thing, engineering, manufacturing kind of thing.
Mm.
And it operates 24/7 and all the rest of it. So as a result, there's like shifts. So there's clocking in and out. There's, structured breaks. If this is your shift, you have 10 minutes at this time, you have half an hour at this time and 20 or whatever.
Yep.
It's so because... Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's because of how you're having to use the space. There's only a certain number of machines, or I don't know what.
Right, yes.
So there could be all sorts of reasons for having something like that.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, so what sort of culture does that drive? What level of autonomy is there? How am I able to think freely when I'm within a structure that's telling me when to eat and when to break and when to whatever, how much creativity can I bring into that?
Yes.
And how important is it necessarily?
Yes, because it might not serve the organisation's needs or wants or objectives or whatever, but actually it might be something that you really want that the culture isn't going to enable for you, which is going to tell you something about whether that setting's correct for you or not.
Yeah.
It is really interesting. So different sectors, if you're in a manufacturing environment, that's going to have, so there are different edges.
Yes.
I've always worked in a much more freeform way.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I worked for the man,
your mom,
and on the corporate old merry-go-round, even when I did that, it was in a way that was, I could please myself.
Yeah.
In a way. And so the idea of having a structured break is, for me, unfamiliar and feels a bit like,
yes.
But so I guess we also get used to the cultures that we're used to.
Another thing that's just quickly popped into my head then is like the idea of institutionalization. You're so used to a culture, you're so used to a certain way of doing things, I would like to think I'm open-minded and, have a curious mindset around things and so on and so forth. And I can imagine going to like North Korea and finding that really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And just being like, whoa, this is so different. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm feeling a bit lost at sea.
Culture shock.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very powerful thing because, it can make you so discombobulated. Really, so, when people are going for like a new role or something, how do you in the selection process pick up on the culture of the organisation? What questions do you ask to uncover that for yourself? I think that is so important because that's a real, for example, there's a lot in the media at the moment about some organisations mandating a return to the office, as an example.
Yeah.
Now, that would be, for me, a cultural red flag. I would want to go nowhere near that if I was looking for a job, because that's not how I choose to operate, or the culture. So the culture, what the work culture you place yourself in is a choice.
Yes, and just like trying to find out from your employees, or an outsider, an external party trying to find out what the culture is really like, we've said is very difficult to do through questions, particularly like if you're in an interview. You are trying to qualify them as much as they are trying to qualify you.
Absolutely.
And so asking some of those questions can be quite difficult because you can just get a fluffy answer.
Yes, you can.
That appeases whatever it is you're trying to say. So I think something I want to reflect on with this is, on this part of the conversation, is what would be really banging culture discovery questions that are really, like, they might not be tell me the culture or what's your attitude on working in the office or whatever, something a bit deeper that can give people room to almost like accidentally reveal what's going on, or give you enough to put some things together. The other thing, sorry, I was just going to just quickly jump on another thing really fast, is, so company culture, people say that's really important and blah, 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 yet how much of the time is culture looked at when there's a need for growth, or for cost control, or for an acquisition, or we need to improve our performance overall. We need to manage our assets, our risks, or whatever. In my view, is that it's always seen as like we'll let the people sort that out. So HR, we got a culture problem. All right, can you fix that? Which just seems like abdicating all responsibility for, well, actually, if we say that culture is the sum of all the choices and the behaviours and all the actions that we take every single day, and our performance is declining, what does that tell you? Maybe there's something wrong with our culture.
Yeah, and I think that in terms of your discovery point, how can you weasel out the culture? I would personally want to, in a selection process, spend time with my peers, if I could, as part, just because you're going to get more honesty out of them than you are out of a hiring manager, and just have a conversation, try and connect and see what it's actually like.
I got an idea, because I think that is great, and it's a luxury because there's not many opportunities necessarily to do that, even early stage. One of the questions I would ask is, what's your view on the return to work stuff? And they'll say whatever they say. Oh yes, well, we have a return to work policy, or we're now fully remote, or we're hybrid, or whatever. My follow-up question would be, why have you chosen that? Because they'll focus on whatever it is they want to focus on, which will help to reveal maybe the extent of autonomy, responsibility, trust, safety, etc., etc. Because, if they say return to work, well, because we sunk loads of money on these massive assets, these buildings, and actually the type of highly cognitive work we're doing means the more time we spend with each other, the faster stuff gets done. You're like, all right, okay, yeah. Or they might say, because the leadership really want people in the office. You're like, right, okay. So maybe that question might be quite helpful in giving some indicators. I don't suppose you can really get under the skin of it until you've spent some time in it.
No, I think that website Glassdoor can be helpful because that is people's perceptions. It's basically company reviews, isn't it, from the employees going, this wasn't great. And you wouldn't take any one of them as an indicator, but if there are 50 or 100, you might be able to get a general tone. You might want to look, ask AI to help you with it.
Yeah.
And I just think that ultimately, there's that whole thing. People leave organisations that aren't a good cultural fit. They leave bad behaviour.
Yeah.
Basically.
They don't leave their jobs. They leave bad behaviour. They leave the culture. They leave the managers.
Poor leadership, bad management. Yeah, that's why people leave. And so, to your point, I think, if I was going to say what's the single biggest thing you can do to inquire about the state of your culture, it would be to be brave enough as a leadership to get some other perspectives, get some radical honesty. And the other thing is, not in a, oh yes, I'm going to do a visit and trot along and everyone's going to polish their shoes and smile nicely. In, that secret
undercover boss.
There we go. That is the vibe. Go in, have an actual look at what it's like, not just for show or for PR, but because you actually make it a practice to go and do the work that you're asking other people to do and see what it's actually like. And then you'll have, because particularly in large organisations, it's very difficult for senior leaders to really know. Yes,
and spending time, therefore, with, and this is something to take with a pinch of salt, spending time with top performing, inverted commas, teams, communities, cohorts, groups, whatever, and bottom performing, because it might be that the thing you're measuring, the performance, is the wrong thing. You could go to a high-performing team and they're savage bullies, and they absolutely just kick the crap out of each other all day long. Is that the culture you want? And you might find that there's a low-performing team who actually are building a long tail of performance and growth and so on based on a solid foundation.
And they're in a really difficult market that's hard to penetrate or whatever.
Exactly. Well, fundamentally, this has been fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And we'd love to hear from you. So if you've got something to say about this, we'd like you to send us an email to curiousbrainfarts@gmail.com.
Lovely.
Goodness me, we could whittle on about this for ages.
I know, we have. And now I'm off to take the dog's AUT before.
You're going to go and join Culture Club?
Yes.
Amazing.
All right then.
All right, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Curious Brain Thoughts.